Well, good morning to all of you, and it is so good to see all of you here. Certainly, thank you so much for joining us today. I am City Councilman Jermaine Reed, and I represent the 3rd District, of course, right here, home to 18th and Vine, and of course, this great history here in Kansas City. And we certainly are proud of what we are able to share with all of you today. I've had the pleasure and honor to be able to serve as the chair of the 18th and Vine Policy Committee, which of course is why we are here today. And so as we get things started, I am excited to be able to share with you the release of this hot off the press 20-page report. Now, we're going to be able to make this available to you all toward the end of the press conference, and I saw some of you folks already have some, Eric Wesson, so I don't know where you got it from, but Jim Vaughn and a few others. But we'll be able to share that with you very shortly. But what we plan to do is to convey a little bit about what is in the report, of course, and highlight some of the many aspects of the plans that have happened over the past year. From our governance structure to the year-end review and a summary of activities that have happened in projects throughout this entire district. The report, of course, has been laser focused on action, progress, and success. And I'll tell you that 18th and Vine is not just about history of what happened here some time ago. It is about an opportunity for revolution and also what we are doing now to ensure sustainability in the future of 18th and Vine. It is about us and our collective vision of how we got here and about transforming this already vibrant neighborhood into leveraging a better community for all of us that will connect to Crossroads District and downtown Kansas City, and of course, which is just down the street from here. Our work to improve 18th and Vine District is always weighed with the intention of authenticity, and we imagine that this neighborhood will continue to emerge as a historic and vibrant neighborhood that will be entertainment friendly and a place that all of us enjoy to live, work, and play. We're going to continue to work to create the success and the legacy for this uniquely Kansas City nexus of commerce and culture here in our community. The infusion of energy in 18th and Vine is certainly seen across this entire city, and it will continue to serve as a catalyst for improvements to the quality of life for our community and the entire city. And let me be very clear. Let me be very, very clear. The stakes are high, and I'll be the first to point that out. Investment in 18th and Vine is not just about return on the investment or just some economic development that we are putting forward. Our work here is about creating a connected and vibrant community for success of this destination point in our city. We did not get here alone. The success of 18th and Vine is a function for groundwork that has been laid by the dedicated community members and stakeholders who have come before us. And more importantly, we will not achieve our goal of sustainable, authentic, and fully realized 18th and Vine alone. The future of this historic district, of course, requires public-private partnerships, also the nonprofit sector collaboration, and also fully been able to engage in our community that we can be able to apply some of the best practices from across the entire country. Let me take a moment to pause and recognize a few folks. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, who is not with us today, but I did see some folks from his office, Jim Vaughn. Let me say thank you to Congressman Cleaver for his steadfast support for this district. Of course, as the mayor of our city and as the 5th District City Council member, and now as a member of Congress, he has stood and fought very long and hard and advocated to restore 18th and Vine. And so thank you, and please let him know that this round of applause is for him. Let me also point out a few of my colleagues that are on the council. I think Councilman Lucas, you're the only one here who you get a chance to hear from very shortly, but let's give it up for Councilman Lucas. Of course, City Manager Schulte, who you get an opportunity to hear from as well. Let's give it up for him. And many of our neighborhood leaders, please raise your hand if you're a district stakeholder, you from Alvin Ailey, everybody, let's raise our hands and give it up for all of you guys. Thank you all so much for being here as well. Last but not least, Frank White, our county exec. We certainly are glad that you are here. Today, of course, is important for many reasons, and as you certainly will note that our primary reason is because as we're looking back on a long and very productive year, this will mark 1 year since July 16, 2016, when the City Council approved Phase 1 of a larger $27.6 million three-phase plan to improve 18th and Vine, which was allocated $7 million of improvements. And so I sincerely want to say thank you to my colleagues on the City Council for their unanimous support for 18th and Vine in this very strategic way. With that, I want to turn it over to my friend and colleague on the City Council, Councilman Lucas, and so we're going to share a little bit again about the report of 20 pages, which you will have an opportunity to hear about, from the governance structure to our year in review. And Councilman Lucas has been a steadfast supporter, and Councilwoman Melba Curls, who is now termed out, but of course has really helped hit the pavement for us. Let's turn it over at this time for Councilman Lucas. Shake your hand, buddy.
How you doing? Hey, everybody, how you doing today? What a wonderful crowd out here. So I won't talk too long, so you're not stuck in the sun, Mr. White. By the way, I just want to say thank you again to Frank White for spending his time with us. We are honored to have somebody who grew up in our community, who's had a long, distinguished career as an athlete, a public servant, a father, a church member, a guy who fishes all the time, all types of things. And so, Mr. White, we're happy to have you with us. One other group that I want to acknowledge before I get started, actually two, the first of which is our city staff. So we acknowledge the city manager before. We'll have Travis Kiefer from the Parks Department speaking, but every day, there are people who spend hours and hours working on the future of this area, working on the future of other areas in ways that we never think. So the first thing I want to do is for all of you who work for the city of Kansas City, Missouri, if you could raise your hand and allow us to recognize you right now. Thank you all. I also forgot to say something special about your 3rd District Council people. Jermaine Reed and I don't really like to sleep much. So we send those people emails at 4 a.m., 6 a.m., that sort of thing, and often want answers back quickly. So I don't know how they're so superhuman, but they're able to do it. So I just wanted to note a bit about the legacy of 18th and Vine, how this is important, and how the work we're doing today is going to build not only a brighter future for 18th and Vine, but also ensure to all of you that the community is involved and engaged, that we continue to have transparency and accountability. And one other thing that I want to note is that Troy Schulte, in addition to being the city manager, is our official sign guy at every one of these presentations. The wind defeats us, but he's such an aggressive city manager, he helps us with all of that. So, thank you, Troy. He'll be back to do that in a little while, in case you're wondering. The legacy of 18th and Vine as a district is a city within a city. It's a concentration of businesses in Kansas City that earned the reputation as an unrivaled center for African American life and culture, really not just for Kansas City, not just in the Midwest, but indeed in the entire country. Beyond its art and jazz music, its legendary status for barbecue, the rich history of Negro Leagues baseball, 18th and Vine carries with it a special light that has in some ways yet to shine in modern days as brightly as it did in the 20th century. Today, I appreciate you, sir. I won't go preacher on it, but I think what you're saying. Today I share the history of 18th and Vine, and I work along with Councilman Reed, along with the city manager, Mayor James, and so many others to inspire those that I meet with that we have much work left to do. When people write about 18th and Vine and the Jazz District, they act as if this project is done. This is a project that we're working on today. This is a project that we will continue to work on, not just with public investment, but from private investment, from community members, from stakeholders in the 3rd District, from stakeholders throughout Kansas City, from people all around our Midwest region, to ensure that this is an area that every Kansas Citian can respect, that this is an area that every Midwesterner can respect. And so through the dedicated leadership that I've been lucky enough to offer along with Councilman Reed, Councilwoman Curls, and so many others, and in my service on the 18th and Vine Development Policy Committee, I believe that 18th and Vine will shine brightly. Thank you, Troy. Boy, we got real work now. So I'll be done soon, but nevertheless, far from singing the coda of an era gone by, this historic cultural and entertainment district is finding a new voice, thanks to the guidance of our governance committee and larger redevelopment project team. Let me be clear. There are some who like to ask questions about what's going on at 18th and Vine, who's keeping track, who's being accountable, and that sort of thing. We have an expert, experienced, talented, dedicated board of professionals. Professionals in management, professionals in law, professionals from city government, professionals from outside that are working to make sure that every dollar is accounted for, that every activity is special, and that everything we build and construct for our neighborhoods will be the best that our Kansas Cityans deserve and that our region deserves. So you should be proud of your 18th and Vine Development Policy Committee. I'm proud of the institutions that exist here each day and that continue to build a stronger 18th and Vine. I'm very proud of the work that you see behind us, which is a collaboration not just with the Kansas City Royals and the city of Kansas City, but the state of Missouri, private business in Kansas City, neighborhoods, Wendell Phillips, our Parade Park Neighborhood Association, and so many others to build a great future for all of us here. So I'll wrap up soon and simply say thank you. Thank you. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to us on social media, call our offices, watch the news, or read the newspapers that we have both represented today. And make sure that you give us your ideas. Although we're talking about the work we have to announce today, what we really want to continue to do is hear from all of you. Because as I said, this is not a project that ends when Jermaine Reed leaves the council, when Quinton Lucas leaves the council. This is a project that will be back here in 20 years talking about progress, talking about success, talking about new work, talking about new life for the businesses, institutions, and neighborhoods nearby. Thank you all so very much, and I welcome back to the podium my colleague, Councilman Reed.
Thank you, Councilman Lucas. Certainly he has really hit the ground running and has really worked hard to make sure that we preserve this rich legacy here in Kansas City. And so as we reflect on over a past year, we're here today to report to you that confidently that as we are entering into this upcoming year, we are certainly equipped with the foundational insight and momentum to accelerate our impact for 18th and Vine improvements here in a measurable and meaningful way. I also want to offer my sincere gratitude to Mayor Sylvester Sly James, who sends his regrets for not being able to be here today. I can tell you that he has been a tireless champion to revitalizing 18th and Vine. The mayor who has rolled up his sleeves in relation to the $19 million Urban Youth Baseball Academy as a partnership with Major League Baseball, which is really right behind us here. And it is the 7th of its kind in the country. Mayor James has really helped make that happen. And so let's give it up for Mayor James for his leadership and commitment to 18th and Vine. As you, of course, see right behind us, the construction which is taking place, and I think they sounds like they're actually working right now, which is good. There are 4 diamonds, that state-of-the-art diamonds that are near completion and will be done this fall. And the Academy, of course, is part of our larger plan. And I believe I saw Angel and, tell me your name. Derwin, but your last name, though. Petty. They're both with the Urban Youth Baseball Academy. And so we thank you and welcome you to the neighborhood and appreciate your leadership and support. We started off this plan sometime in April of last year. And when we started off, as you'll recognize in the book that you have, it talks about 2 things. Those 2 things are the immediate physical, invisible impact and change that you will see that will spur catalytic improvements in the district. And then 2 would be to put feet on the ground during the daytimes and evening hours and increase the economic development in the area. And of course, with the Urban Youth Baseball Academy, you certainly see that firsthand. The person who has really helped lead the charge along with our city staff, as you heard from Councilman Lucas, as it relates to that, his thumbprint is all over this work. He has really had a hands-on approach to the work that we're doing here in 18th and Vine and has been leading our staff at City Hall and all of the improvements here in 18th and Vine. And so here to tell you a little bit more about what is in the 20-page report is our city manager, Troy Schulte.
Well, thank you, Councilman Reed. It's a great day to kind of recognize, take a break it's been a busy year, and we've got a lot of work done, but we've got a lot more work to do. As we said, we won't get here overnight, but we think we're starting to get a good team in place that will allow us to really accelerate. So my job here today, in addition to holding up the signs, is to kind of give you a quick rundown on where we're at with the various projects that we outlined a year ago. And then promise that there'll be more work coming in the very near future. So I'll quickly just kind of go around the horn. All of this will be in page 10 and 11 of the document you receive. So we'll try to be very transparent of what's going on here. But I want to start over at the corner of 18th and Paseo with the Buck O'Neill Education Center. That is a one-of-a-kind institution. And will really be a linchpin for the development going forward. If any of you have had a chance to get in and tour that facility. The first floor is essentially complete. It is an absolutely beautiful restoration of that building. Work is now progressing on environmental abatement of the upper floors. They will be white boxed and made available for retail and commercial office development later this year. And again, our partners at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum have been tremendous partners in that development, and you'll see a lot of great work that they took in anticipation of the city reimbursing them for those funds. So they moved ahead of the city, in fact, to get some of that stuff done. So that's a tremendous statement of their willingness to invest in the district and make that a truly unique place for visitors and scholars alike to come and really see where Negro League's history began in this country, and it will be a true treasure once it's done. So I will also mention that several months ago the city completed the property transfer from the Jazz District Redevelopment Corporation, the Jazz District Renaissance Corporation, which were the longtime property owners in this of this property. I want to take a moment to recognize their work, their diligence, their perseverance to hold on to the property, to continue to advocate for projects, to rub two nickels together as it took to get the Highland Place Apartments done, which was a 5-year project to try to scrape together the funding. So I want to thank them for their willingness to not only transfer the property, but to be passionate stakeholders, long-term stakeholders for 18th and Vine, and their willingness to stay involved and retool themselves as they move forward as an agency that doesn't necessarily have the real estate, but will be a passionate supporter of the 18th and Vine district going forward. So Melba's here and a couple of members of that. They've done a tremendous job. So all the property is transferred. Literally within 48 hours of the property being transferred, we had a fire. So no good deed goes unpunished. But that actually helped renovate cleaned out some of the stuff we didn't need anyway. We also had some wind damage on the building along 18th Street, but I'm pleased to report that our stabilization efforts have been completed, and all the properties along Vine Street between 1800 and 1900 block of Vine have been stabilized, as well as the old House of Hoots building there between Paseo and Vine have been stabilized and are now ready for redevelopment and incorporation into a future development through an RFP process that the city and the advisory committee will undertake in the future. Work is also progressing on stabilization of the Boone Theater. Work is doing that. Our goal is to get that sidewalk opened back up as sooner rather than later, to get that building stabilized, because we think that could be a very unique public space, performance space as we move forward. So a lot of the quiet work of just stabilizing the buildings to make sure that they're ready for redevelopment is occurring as we speak. As was mentioned by Councilman Reed and Councilman Lucas, this tremendous addition of the Urban Youth Baseball Academy construction will commence later this year on the Great Lawn, which will incorporate this amphitheater into a performance venue that will tie in the Urban Youth Baseball Academy and make this a kind of a signature performance space, a signature event space available not only for performances in 18th and Vine, but for other gatherings around the city to come back and reconnect with 18th and Vine. So construction will start later this year, in fact, later this month really, on repurposing this great lawn as it connects both to the Negro Leagues and the American Jazz Museum into the Urban Youth Baseball Academy. So I should also note that later this month, construction will start on a new parking lot at 18th and Lydia. This is the result of some cooperation and partnership by the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority to make sure that we have adequate parking. That construction for that project has been let. Anybody know where we can place a streetcar that we've got sitting over there? We're trying to figure out how we scramble to move that one around, but that's a good problem to have. But we hope to be under construction with that new parking lot by the end of this month, and that construction will take place over the fall and into the early spring of 2018. Obviously designed to help handle parking needs for events down here, but also to deal with expected crowds at the Urban Youth Baseball Academy. I should also give you an update that we will be planning later this year associated with some water main repairs, a new streetscape that will run from Woodland to Campbell along 18th Street. That is part of the first $7 million in allocated funds. That project will commence later this year, probably around November, December timeframe, and into the spring. So a brand new streetscape complete with a cycle track and some facilities that will finally connect the Crossroads and the 18th and Vine District into that greater downtown area. And we think it will allow the acceleration of the investment and the redevelopment that's occurring here as we go forward. So a lot of great stuff going on. A lot of the other projects, when now with the advisory committee up and running and fully vetted, have taken the leadership role in driving the RFP, looking for potential tenants. All of that process will continue. We have solicited for both a leasing agent who will help us manage the space, as well as a property management who will provide full-time property management capability down here. So it will not be run directly by the city. We will manage it through a third-party professional who knows how to operate these facilities. And I think we'll start to see the acceleration both in the quality of the events that you have down here, as well as the programming associated with it. And some of those tenants, Greg Patterson's here, who's been selected, I think, as the leasing agent. And then there are some final work being done on the property management RFP manager of that as well. So a lot of great things happening down here in the district. We continue to work on other projects associated with the American Jazz Museum, revitalization of the Blue Room. Those projects will continue into the next year. And obviously we would love to see in the next year, that I would love to see is some new vertical construction going up on some of these lots that we've cleared. The old facade just west of the Kansas City Call has been cleared out. So if anybody's interested in some development site, there's a lovely, attractive site there. So we continue to see some great investment occurring separate from the city, and that's what's important to me, is that it's a leverage point. It's not supposed to be all of the investment. So what you're seeing is a new restaurant going in the Lincoln building. Chuck Bird, his family is developing that. I think that will be another attractive point. And then what I'm really excited about is we've had a group of young entrepreneurs who've acquired the old Waterworks building at 20th and Vine and are now in the process of revitalizing that building, which is sat vacant for decades. And that will be small office space as well as some event space. And that will start to move the activity not only in the district, but down Vine Street and into the surrounding neighborhoods. So it's starting. We just have to stick with it. We have to persevere. We have to be patient, and we've got to continue to hope for the best and work for the best. So there's a great deal of stuff going on here, and there's a lot more great things coming. So thank you very much. I appreciate, again, the great work of the city staff who've worked tirelessly on that. I want to call out Eric Bosch and Vanessa Williams, who are here, a number of folks who have kind of taken this thing and said, we're going to take this thing and really make it an exceptional place. So there's great things happening, and there's even more great things coming. So I'll turn it back over to Councilman Reed, and we'll keep going with the program. Thank you very much.
So I've got to flip through all the notes here because the manager didn't use any of his notes. Let's give it up again for City Manager Schulte, because words can't really adequately express my sincere appreciation to him for his level of commitment and dedication to this project. And as he mentioned, a lot of his staff, who I'll point out here very shortly, their work is certainly to be highlighted. So thank you so much for your efforts. And as you heard, of course, through the manager's report of kind of a high-level review of the 20 pages that we will be releasing here to you all very shortly, is that improvements are certainly underway, and this has been a very collaborative effort across the city to maintain this legacy campus. And that as the manager is certainly taking a hands-on approach for 18th Divine, his support and staying laser focused really helps us move the needle very far. I want to be able to highlight and recognize some of the 18th Divine Development Policy Committee members who are here. Susie Aaron, who I'll start off with you, who's a member at large. Wave your hand there. And then Sherry Gibbs, who is a district cultural interest representative. And then I believe Mr. Simmons is behind her. Mr. Simmons is the city manager's designee, and they are highlighted on page 7 of your report. And I don't see any other of the members who are here, but you certainly will have an opportunity to see many of them, from McLean Bryant, Ed Honesty, of course, Councilman Lucas, who is a member, Sidney King, and Bianca Tiller Gates, who are all members of that committee. And we thank you for your service and oversight and commitment to this plan. I want to also recognize some of the staff members who have been called out already, but I want to make sure we do some justice to them. Jeff Williams, Sean Hughes, and Clyde Page with the City Planning Department, and also Catherine Carter. I don't necessarily see them here, but certainly want to thank them for their leadership in the City Planning Department and great work. These two have been called out already. That is Eric Bosch and Vanessa Williams. So please, if everyone can see you, your work is certainly not gone unnoticed, so thank you. And then all the folks from the Parks Department. I don't see Mark McHenry, but if I'm overlooking him, Mark and Travis Kiefer, who are here from the Parks Department, who really worked hard on all the work that you see behind us. Thank you guys as well for your hard work. And then my council aide, Chantrice Patillo, is she's responsible for the bowl and so much more that you don't see. Oh, here you are, Chantrice, still working. Thank you, Chantrice. She has certainly been working very hard. And so thank you to all the staff. And I see some folks from the health department who are here and some other city staff members. Thank you all for all your hard work and dedication. And then also Parsons and Associate. Jason Parson, your group and communications group has been very wonderful. And Steph and Shalon and all the team with Parsons Associate, thanks you so much for your hard work. As I've noted, all of those departments, along with the mayor's office, the city council office, we have really worked hard to accomplish many things over this past year. In just this 1 year, as the manager has already noted, and you can go to many of the pages in your document here and note of all of the accomplishments that we made, from acquiring the building, which was just under $500,000, to the demolition, all the way from our leasing, the property management agreements. We have certainly been able to make things happen. Now, moving forward, as Councilman Lucas has noted, we certainly want to be able to hear from our community stakeholders and partners as we move forward. Our success is your success. And so we want to continue to hear from you. We want you to continue to come to our meetings. And if you're not able to do that, you can always go to kcmomentum.org. Go to the city website at kcmo.org, and you can find that information. But kcmomentum.org, what does that say? kcmo.gov. Is the city's website, kcmo.gov or kcmomentum.gov, to provide any type of input that you would like to as we move forward. And so we certainly look forward that as we are moving forward in this first phase and we gain momentum, we believe that 75% of phase 1 projects, which will be about $3.5 billion, that work will be completed by spring 2018. And we're looking forward to advocating and galvanizing our colleagues on the city council for continued support for phase 2 and phase 3 of the larger $27.6 million of this investment. So with that, we'll stop with our comments. We'll open it up for any sort of questions that you may have, and we'll pass out the books that are out there. And so I'll take questions from the media. And we will be having some charrettes throughout the community, and meeting with all the district stakeholders that are also listed in the book. And so if you've got some questions where you'd like to go for a deeper dive, we certainly will be answering those and having some more community meetings as we move forward. So any questions from the media? If not, thank you all so much. No. John, you don't have a question, or I saw someone from 9. No? Okay. Okay, well, we could chat afterwards. Who am I? Oh, well, the congressman has now arrived. I'm like, what are you saying? Let me read my remarks so he now can get them in fresh time. Congressman Cleaver, please, right here, sir. I got to read these comments I said about you. So if we could act like this didn't happen. I said, can you hear me, Congressman Cleaver? I said, before I go any further, I want to give a big round of applause to Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver for his efforts, and we'd like to honor and recognize him for his steadfast support to the district. Of course, he as a council member, and okay, thank you, Congressman Cleaver. All right, any questions from the media? If not, we certainly will entertain any questions that you have when we break up here. But we thank you all so much for coming. And if I forgot anyone, please raise your hand now so I can recognize you. Okay. I don't see anyone. So I think we made it clean. Thank you all so much for coming today. And we look forward to passing out the information. And thanks for being here. And we look forward to moving forward.